Greetings to all the students. I welcome you all on the YouTube platform of NextIS, and you are watching Daily News Analysis, an initiative where we discuss important articles published in the newspapers and the PIB. So, with the help of today's video, the topics that we are going to discuss will be: first, Gaza peace plan; second, trade economic partnership agreement; third, index of industrial production; fourth, a cross-border railway project between India and Bhutan; and the fifth, the conundrum of poverty estimation in India. So now, without wasting time, let us start with the first topic visible over your screen, that Trump's Gaza peace plan, what's in 20-point peace plan proposal. So this is all about, for the past 3.5 years, there has been a, I would say, the imbroglio taking place between the Israel and the Hamas over the case of Gaza and the Palestinian Authority. Now, one very basic quote that comes to my mind with respect to this kind of situation of Martin Luther King Jr., that we must accept finite disappointment but must never lose infinite hope. The hope to build the Gaza, the hope to build the livelihood of the people, the hope to restore the statehood or the two-state solution or the other solution for the betterment of the life of the children and the people out there in the Gaza. Now, in this backdrop, Trump again came with one 20-point peace proposal with respect to the Gaza point. But we must not forget that in February 2025, the American president at that moment came up with another proposal. The proposal had 2 points. The first point that it has is a US takeover of Gaza, US takeover of Gaza, and the second that he has is relocation of Palestinians, where he himself said that he will be happy to build around 10 lakhs homes for the Gaza people, for the Palestinian people. But that at least have a backdrop with the de facto point of destabilization and the ethnic cleansing. That could be the reason. So it went into the back burner part. Now again, this thing has came up that the 20-point Gaza peace plan has come to our domain. So now let's discuss what the key plan elements of this plan are. First is the immediate ceasefire and the hostage exchange. If the both parties accept this plan, this 20-point peace plan says that all military operations, including airstrikes, bombardment, will be suspended, and within 72 hours of Israel's acceptance, all hostages will be returned. Second, the prisoner release. Israel would release around 250 to 200 prisoners to the Hamas, and Hamas it around 117 prisoners, and the Hamas will be even giving the deceased people back to the Israel, right? Third, demilitarization and the disarmament of the Hamas. All Hamas military infrastructure, right, including their tunnels, their weapon production, etc., must be destroyed and will not be built even further. That the plan proposing monitoring, verification, decommission of the arms and reintegration programs. At that moment, this sounds very harsh and unacceptable by the Hamas, right? And that is the moment perhaps when the Donald Trump has said that the ultimate goal of this peace plan is to restore the peace in the Middle East. But if the Hamas is not going to accept it, then the Trump said that the US will support the Israel to finish the job. It was a statement to finish the job. So at this moment, the both parties used to, seems to become closer. That means this demilitarization, disarmament of Hamas seems to be a possibility in the near future, right? Now, even one point that Hamas members who renounce violence and agree to the peaceful coexistence will be given an amnesty, and those who wants to leave the Gaza, they will be given a very safer passage to leave the Gaza. Fourth, transitional governance under international oversight. We must not forget one single thing, that there was a Gaza International Transitional Authority. So Gaza International Transitional Authority, this kind of thing was already been in the domain of the think tanks. right? For say Tony Blair's institution was quoting that I will be the one who will be governing and monitoring the aspect of the Gaza International Transition Authority, just to make sure that the peace along with the borders will take place, right? Now, this very same thing is being included in this 20 peace plan, which says that Gaza would be administered by a temporary technocratic apolitical Palestinian committee responsible for the public service deliveries, right? Oversight would be a new international board of peace chaired by the Trump himself, with other global figures, for say Tony Blair, the point I just mentioned regarding this thing, right, participating. The plan envisions eventual handover to the Palestinian Authority once the sufficient time or once the right time will be given in the near future, right? Fifth, reconstruction and the economic development and aid. That means the plan promises immediate full aid into Gaza, including rehabilitation of the water, electricity, roads, hospital, bakeries, etc. Right? A Trump economic development plan would seek to attract investment, job creation, and the economic zone status as well, along with the the sea lines. The people will not be forced to leave Gaza, and those who want to leave to do so, they will be given a chance to return back to their old homes. Another, international stabilization force. This plan includes deployment of a multinational international stabilization force, which will be combining of the forces of 3-4 for multinational countries, just to help secure Gaza, coordinate with the vetted Palestinian force, and work with Israel and Egypt to secure the border areas. You may witness that this is the line that has been drawn at this moment, right? This is the initial withdrawal. The hostage released the yellow line, right? The second this line will be the second withdrawal after the IFS mobilized per standards that was set in the term plan. And this blue line, this is at this moment the IDF line of control. Now again come to the part that Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. This is a very big promise, and perhaps it will be accepted by the Hamas and the Gaza people as well, right? Over time, demilitarization and the security benchmarks are met. Israel would progressively withdraw through a security parameter might remain temporarily at this moment. Why? Because the situation is not as fruitful, right? Plus, interfaith dialogue and the long-term peace vision, again very important point. For say, the proposal includes promoting interfaith dialogue, tolerance, changing narratives in the Israeli-Palestinian society, right? So that means that they are talking regarding the bonhomie that should take place between the people of the Palestine and the Israeli, because they are at the coexistence, along with the borders. Plus, it does not give an immediate concrete path to the Palestinian state, but it hints that may be a possibility once reconstruction, reforms, and the political dialogue proceed. Now, perhaps one point should be that the Palestinian people or the Palestinian Authority would be demanding that there has to be a time-bound manner provision with respect to the giving back the Palestinian Authority to the concerned people, right? Otherwise, the people will be having this kind of illusion that after year, by what time we'll be having this kind of thing. So, one thing that this plan should include is the timeline, right? The timeline should be there. Now, the strength of this plan. What are the good things, right? The advancement of this plan. So, first is this: it's a comprehensive plan, right? It plans, attempts to integrate the society, security, governance, reconstruction, international oversight into this one package, right? This is fits for all. For all means the people of the Israel and the people of the Gaza as well, the Palestinian. Plus, external oversight and investment. So, having international actors supervise governance and the reconstruction might lend credibility and the resources. So, point is, if any there will be kind of mismanagement, trust deficit will be there, it will be weeded out. Why? Because there are international people are sitting out there, right? Third, conditional handover to the PA. That gives the Palestinian Authority a future role, potentially easing Palestinian resistance to external control, right? Appeals to the donors. The reconstructions and the development initiative will not be done by 1 and 2 countries, so the international people will be there. That means more, the commitment with respect to the investment will take place, more development will take place, right? So ultimately, there will be a better prosperity that will be fruitful for the people of the Palestine as well. Plus, strong pressure on Hamas. by coupling sweeping demands with high stakes, right? The plan seeks to force a decision. Why? Because at the one point we are saying to the people, you come and join us, we are going to give you a development plan, right? So Hamas is not leaving with any of the things untouched. But now there are certain uncertainties regarding this plan. The first is the vagueness in the implementation. The timeline point I just mentioned. How? Many aspects are underspecified. For how the technocratic committee is formed, who will pick its members, how the oversight will work, what precise benchmark the DA must meet so that the control of the Gaza people of the Palestinian Authority will be given to them, right? Plus Hamas likely resistance. Again, the point is Hamas is it doesn't seem at this moment that Hamas will be ready to willingly relinquish arms and the political control under these terms, right? Lack of Palestinian legitimacy, autonomy. Why? Because the plan just promise, that does not give any timeline and the time-bound solution for the Palestinian legitimacy, which has been a greater demand for the people of Palestine, that was even echoed in the UN as well, right? So that will be a greater concern for the people as well, right? And there at the moment, the Hamas may again, try to take control of the mind of the people of the Palestine, right? Fourth, security trust deficit. Gaza distrust of Israel and foreign forces may make coordination extremely difficult, right? Plus Israel's own motivations and the selectivity. While Israel has nominally agreed, it may interpret or delay key steps to retain strategic control, and it has been done by the Israel for 2 and 3 times earlier as well, right? And the history between the Israel and the neighboring countries folded this announced that there is a greater uncertainty with respect to the trust between the nations. Plus regional actors resistance for say some Arab states like Turkey, Jordan and this Egypt, right? They will be in a mood that they will resist ceding influence, or they will be not in a mood to accepting the heavy US influence over the entire region, right? Plus statehood ambition sidelines. The plan postpones real discussion on the Palestinian sovereignty. This is the point which is very important. It postpones it. It gives no timeline to it, but rather it is giving a validation to the Palestinian Authority that you need to fulfill certain dreams, so that will give the control back to you, right? But there is no clarity regarding this plan. Plus, President fears the notion of a US-led board running political affairs in foreign territory is a bold exceptional move, raising concerns of neo-protectorate and neo-colonial implications. This is the very same thing that earlier USA decided to leave Afghanistan, then afterwards nowadays they are again asking to capture the control of the Air Force trip as well. USA's role in the different countries in the Middle East has been there. So there has been the reasons among the people of the Palestine that will again make this deal to take place very difficult, right? So these are the real challenges. Now this is the practice question visible over your screen. Do let us know the answer in the comment section. Now the second topic, which is the FTA talks going on with several countries including US. We know that Donald Trump has said earlier that we are going to impose 100% of the tariffs upon the Indian goods. Before that he said that we are going to impose 50% of the tariff up only on the Indian goods, right? The plan was to pressurize India so that a deal could take place with Russia. At the very same time, India started a move to start looking forward for the other destinations. Once the USA destination is being completed, the India may have the different export destinations. So with this pursuit, under this influence, we may need to look these kind of things, the FTAs that are taking place with the EFTA countries. For say other parts, EU, New Zealand, Oman, Peru, Chile, the other economies as well, where the Indian officials trying to get the export destination. Now under this thing, we need to look what the FTA is, how it is useful, and what are the challenges. The first is, this is the point that I'm trying to talk that the FTA aim to enhance trade relation, reduce tariffs, and facilitate a smooth market access for Indian goods and services, right? What are the objectives of the FTAs? First, the market expansion. It aims to provide Indian exporters with preferential access to international market, by reducing all eliminating tariffs, non-tariff barriers, or the other trade restrictions, right? Second, diversification of the trade. Fourth, say, by negotiating with member countries, India seeks to reduce reliance on any single trading partner and mitigate geopolitical and economic risk, right? So ultimately, FTA will be going to become a major economic tool to evade the geopolitical implication that could take place upon the India's economy, right? Third, investment attractions. FTA could include provisions that improve the investment climate, encouraging FDI came to India. FDI is definitely necessary for the long-term economic prospect of the India, right? Fourth, technology and the innovation games. This FTA even gives us access to the advanced technologies, right? And the global best practices in sectors for, say, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, hospitality, IT sectors, and the different parts, right? So these are the objectives of the FTAs. But now there are the challenges. First challenge is that balancing domestic interests. India has a huge market, and there are certain different issues linked with the different segment of the population of the businessmen in India, I would say, right? Now, India must protect its sensitive sectors like agriculture, small scale manufacturing, while offering concessions to the trade partners, right? Second, regulatory and the standards harmonization. Aligning with the quality standards, certification process, and IPR can be a technically and the politically challenging as well to India to negotiate. Third, political and the public considerations. The FTA face scrutiny domestically due to fears of increased competition for the local industries. One point you need to remember, that is regulatory and the standard harmonization. India took around 16 years to talk to the EFTA countries, especially with the Switzerland, so that a FTA can take place with those countries. So these negotiations doesn't seem to be so simple. These are more complex. Every minute details will be discussed, and then based on the interest of the India and the other countries, these things will be taken place. So this is a more complex situation, I would say. Now the economic implications of the FTA. How FTA is going to boom Indian economy, right? The impact on Indian economy. First is the positive outcome. It could boost export, create job, attract foreign investment, enhance technological capabilities of Indian people as well. But potential risk, misaligned agreements could expose domestic industries to competition, affect trade balances, create dependency on imports in critical sectors. And that will definitely in a long term will be detrimental for India's own, say, self-reliance economy, right? Plus, long-term strategic gain. Carefully negotiated FTA strengthens India's position in the global trade, particularly as a supply chain evolve in response to geopolitical tensions and the technological shift, right? So these are those part. Now, with respect to the prelims exam, this additional information is so important. How it is important? Because recently this TEPA, the Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement, is signed with this EFTA countries, especially Switzerland. Now the point is, what is this TEPA? How are the countries in the EFTA, right? This is or more prelims specific information to have a focus upon this thing. First, the EFTA states for, say, Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. Mind this thing. There are only 4 countries. There are only 4 countries in the European Free Trade Association: Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, and Switzerland, right? Now, these agreements establish a free trade area between EFTA states and India with the goal of promoting efficient and transparent procedures to reduce cost and ensure predictability of the trading communication within the parties for the near future. Plus, the agreement seeks to achieve liberalization of trade in goods and services. It will enhance investment opportunities as well, promote the competition, right? Enforcement of the intellectual property rights, and develop trade relations to contribute to the sustainable development, right? Very important point. These 2 points are very important. Plus, this agreement also emphasizes on the importance of good corporate governance and corporate social responsibility. And it even reaffirms Rights of the government to regulate and set their sustainable development policies and priorities. Again, beautiful for India's interest. Right? Again, POT, it recognizes the value of international agreements on labor and the environment as a means to address global and regional environmental and social challenges. Now the point is, these 2 points we just mentioned are extremely important with respect to your prelims examination, right? The agreement should be effective from 1st of October 2025, right? Now the European Free Trade Association, EFTA, 4 countries are there, we discuss, right? It's an intergovernmental organization for the promotion of free trade and economic integration members, right? 4 members are there, not the part of the EU. It's very important thing. It was founded by Stockholm Convention in 1960, and that is the only single thing that we need to look for this. Now again, the practice question visible over the screen. Do practice it. Let us know the answer in the comment section. Now the third topic, Index of Industrial Production, right? IIP. For say it growth slows to 4% is August 2025. It drags by the consumer facing sectors. This paper, this topic is again very important, because if the IIP is getting slowing, it foretells that the production, the manufacturing capabilities of the economy for say in near future will be, will be hindered. That means the manufacturing aspect to the GDP will be hindered. So with this perspective, IIP needs to be looked into this aspect. Now the point is, what is IIP? So it is an indicator that measures changes in the volume of the production of the industrial products during a given period. First, it is compiled and published monthly by NSO, Ministry of Statistics and the Program Implementation. It is a composite indicator that measures the growth of industry group classified under broad sectors, namely mining, manufacturing, electricity, use-based sectors for the basic goods, capital goods, intermediate goods. Now these 2 things are very important for the prelims examination. For say, the base year for the IIP is 2011-2012, first thing, and second is, it is a performance barometer of industrial sector of our economy. Now, this is just a chart which shows the flip sides of the IIPs taking place month-wise, right? Plus, significance of the IIP. Now, why this IIP is being used? Because it is used by the government agencies, including the Ministry of Finance, the RBI, just for the policy framework, the policy making purposes, right? Plus, it remains extremely relevant for the calculation of quarterly and advanced GDP estimates. How? The role of manufacturing in GDP, right? For that perspective, you need to understand this thing. Now, in IIP, there are 8 industries that are part of the IIPs. That means based on 8 core sectors, we used to define the aspect of the IIP. Now the prelims examination concern is, all those 8 names are important for the prelims examination, right? One thing that you need to understand is, iron industries is not a part of these 8 core industries, and UPSC always plays this kind of words. So one word can definitely help you out thoroughly. It is steel, which is there in the IIP, but not iron and steel, which is there in the IIP. So iron is not a part of IIP, right? Plus the overall weightage, the 8 core industries is 40.27%. Right? Now, after this thing, 2 major points with respect to the prelims. For say, which has the highest weightage. So weightage wise, you need to define these 3. So refinery products has the 28% weightage. Then afterwards, electricity has the 19% weightage, and then afterwards, steel has the 17% of the weightage. Now, this is the additional information that you need to understand. For say ASI, this is annual survey of the industries, right? It is released by Ministry of Statistics and the Program Implementation annually, that means once in a year. It covers all factories employing 10 or more workers using power, and those employing 20 or more workers without using power. This definition is very important. It provides information about the composition and structure of the organized manufacturing sector, comprising activities related to manufacturing processes, repair services, gas water supplies, cold storage, etc. something. So this is all about this IIP that you need to look into it. This is the previous year's question papers that has been asked by the UPSC. That is why I was talking you that this is, which one of the following has the highest weight. So this weightage wise thing is very important for the UPSC understanding, right? This is important. This is the practice question visible over the screen. Do practice it and let us know the answer in the chat box. Now the fourth topic of today's part is that India announces 2 cross-border railway project to link Bhutan that will cost around 4,000 crores, right? Recently, 2 new railway links to offer easy connectivity to Bhutan. Now the point is, you need to look 2 important things. The first is, India is the Bhutan's largest trading partner with most of its import and export routed through Indian ports. First thing. Second thing, India gave a commitment to the Bhutan's 13th 5-year plan, which runs from 2024 to 2029, that India will be giving committed to a support of around 10,000 crore rupees. 10,000 करोड़ रुपए भारत सरकार जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के जो प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं इन द 13 5-year plan of the Bhutan will be invested by the government of India, right? In provide wise assistance, high connectivity targets as well. It will be given as a grants as well. So multiple ways with which the government of India is going to give 10,000 crores. Now the point is, it is 100% increase in the commitment given by the government of India to Bhutan's infrastructure projects in 12th 5-year plan. So this is just a very basic understanding that you need to understand, right? That India, it is committed with the infrastructure development project in Bhutan with respect to the hand in hand in the 13th 5-year plan. Now what the project is all about. So you look at this part, see, these are the 2 points. The first is Kokrajhar, Assam to Galepu, Bhutan. Second is Banarhat, West Bengal to Samaste, Bhutan. So map wise, these are the points where India is trying to link it, right? This is important. Total estimated crores, 4,000 crores. UPSC always plays with the cost, with putting it at least 10 times. So the cost is all, of course, very important, right? Now what are the strategic and the geopolitical significance of the railway lines, the railway projects, I would say. The first is regional connectivity. Enhances India-Bhutan network will definitely become part of India's broader Act East policy, right? Plus strategic counterbalance, how it strengthens India's position in the Himalaya region amidst growing Chinese influence in the South Asia. Third, defense and the security. Railways could facilitate movement of strategic resources and personnel if required. This is the point that has been there between one of the very contentious point between China and the China and the India. So ultimately India is trying to bridge that gap, right? The gap between the what could be done and how smoothly it should be done from the side of India to these border areas. So this should be looked into that particular perspective. Plus regional integration. It supports BIMSTEC or the SAARC connectivity goes by linking the border regions effectively within each other, right? Plus economic implications, it would definitely boost to the trade and the industry for the both of the people. How? Because it will streamline export import logistics for the Bhutan, especially hydropower and the agro based products, which is of high demand in the Bhutan. Second, employment generation. The construction along with the railway lines will definitely generate the jobs in both the countries. Tourism, easier access will boost cross-border tourism, particularly in scenic and cultural sites of the Bhutan. And local development, for say, border towns like Galepu and Samaste will see infrastructure upgrades, increasing property values and attracting investment. Again, it will be beneficial for India's interest at its border areas, especially after the incident of Galwan Ghati that we have in 2017, right? Now the long-term strategic implications. It will definitely, strengthen the economic, cultural and the social ties between the India and the Bhutan. First thing. Second, geopolitical leverage. Ensures India remains the primary development and strategic partner of Bhutan, countering Chinese initiatives that has BLI of the South Asia. Regional development, it will enhance connectivity in the Northeast India as well, promote inclusive growth, It will even reduce the geographical isolation, right? And especially after the creation of the Ministry of Northeast, the government of India's focus has been so much towards making inroads for the infrastructure within the Northeast. And recently, you have witnessed that there was a train rule, train reached to the one of the state of to the Northeast, that is Mizoram, right? Now, fourth, model for the cross-border infrastructure. It could serve as a blueprint for India's future products with countries like Nepal, Bangladesh, Myanmar, if the situation will be fine. Community engagement. Local communities, indigenous people in border areas consulted to minimize displacement and protect the livelihood. Again, the people-to-people connection will be there. And last, carbon reduction. Why carbon reduction point is there? Because we are making electrified railways, which will reduce dependence on the diesel. It support India's climate commitments under the Paris Agreement as well. So all these are the long-term implications. I would say the long-term strategic implications the government of India is trying to pursue with. Now the challenges, right? The first challenge is the terrain. For say it is hilly, forested, flood-prone areas require the careful engineering solutions. Second, cross-border coordination. There is a differences in regulation, customs and standards between India and Bhutan need harmonization. Third, funding and the cost management. Ensuring project completion with the budget of 4,000 crores is a huge task, right? Fourth, environmental compliance. Continuous monitoring to ensure that the long-term ecological sustainability in that particular area will remain intact. That means India has to abide by the Paris Agreement. So, a continuous monitoring is needed. Now, this is the practice question again visible over your screen. Do watch it and let us know the answer in the comment box. Now, let's start with today's decoded topic, which is visible over your screen is who is poor in today's India and what an updated Rangarajan report line looks like. In India, there has been a say that poverty is a problem, but poverty estimation is a greater problem. Why do we say so? Because we know that the World Bank says that $1.0 US dollar per day is the benchmark to decide the extreme poverty at the world level. With this mark, in India, nearby 22% of the people are below the poverty line. That means the extreme poverty line, right? There is a ratio of 2012, 2011, 2012. But after that, the government of India has not given any of the official confirmation based on the consumption expenditure, right? In 2017-18, the government said we although tried to have a survey but failed to give it, quoting that there were certain issues of data quality. So the government did not give it to the public. But there were certain leaked points. The leaked information regarding the survey that was there in 2017-18, which says that although the poverty in India onwards 2011-12 remained constant, but there was an increase in the rural poverty in India. And that further debated a controversy regarding the poverty estimation methods and the number of people of poverty in India. Then afterwards in 2019-20, there was a call of IMF where three eminent scientists called BBV, Bhasin Balla, and the name was Virmani, Bhasin Balla Virmani. They came up with an idea regarding the poverty estimation based on two things, with food, without food. Without food, they said that India's poverty has down to 3.9%. And if they include the food subsidy they have given by the India, then they say that India's absolute poverty has down to only 1.9%. There has been a lot of things regarding this poverty estimation line in India. Now again, the Rangarajan poverty line in the picture nowadays. So in this purview, that how to exactly define the poverty line, what methodology needs to be updated, what criteria should be incorporated in the measuring of poverty line, and things will be in the domain regarding this part. So this article will be regarding the poverty estimation mainly. How this topic is important? This topic is not only important with respect to the paper 1 society poverty, but it is important to the governance as well, economy, and GS paper 4 as well, right? Now this is the part how this point is Rangarajan committee, because the Rangarajan committee, the RBI recently updated the Rangarajan poverty line for 20 major states using a fresh survey data. Their findings suggest dramatic declines in the poverty states like Odisha and Bihar through a lower base, and they even exercise reignites long-standing debates about methodology, that means how to define a poverty line, how to update it, whether monetary threshold alone capture debt deprivation, or we need to understand the other exclusive societal based parameters to design and to understand the basic poverty line. So much things are there. But before we actually go into the poverty other things, the first thing that we need to know that it says that the dramatic declines in the poverty. That means there has to be substantial reasons because of which the poverty has been declining in particular areas. So the point is, what are those reasons because of which the poverty is declining in these areas? States like Odisha and Bihar. The first is the economic growth and structural transformation that is taking place. Right? That means we may say that the rapid GDP growth is taking place, rapid GDP growth. Second, we may say that there has been seen a shift from agri to non-agriculture part. So that means the people are starting earning more money along with the agriculture job as well. Plus there has been a rise in the rural wages. There has been a rise in the rural wages. So that means the people at this moment are having so much money in their hand. That means their spending capacity is enhanced. So if the spending capacity is enhanced, so the basic basic line based on which the poverty line has been decided. So it shows that once I have the money in my hand, I may spend it further, right? So poverty line is declining nowadays. First reason. The second reason is government's welfare program. Government's welfare program result. Welfare program for say MG Narega is doing very good in certain states, right? Plus Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, right, which has further been extended by the government of India to 2028, right? Plus we even know that in 2012 onwards, the government of India started the GEM Trinity, right, along with the direct benefit transfer. So the leakage has been stopped nowadays and the money is being directly put in the account of the beneficiary people. Plus as well, Ayushman Bharat is there as well, right? So the money that was supposed to spend on the healthcare aspect now is being taken care by the government of India itself, right? Plus very important thing, the role of the PDS is still at this side. The BBV from the IMF, they gave the idea of poverty in India based on this PDF part, food without food. With food, that means inclusion of the PDS, they said that only in India 1.9% people are under the poverty at this moment, right? So this has been the very basic second reason, right? Third reason, what they said is the third reason that could be is a demographic dividend. The demographic dividend. That means at this moment we know that there has been a youthful workforce in India, right? Plus we know that the more women have entered into the informal sector, more women have entered into informal sectors, right, due to initiatives like National Rural Livelihood Mission, NRLM, right? Plus we know that the fourth criteria it could be the improvement in the human capital. Improvement in human capital. That means education expansion has been there. The decline because of the midday meal schemes, there has been a decline in the student dropout rates. So the education expansion has been there. Reduced child mortality rates. So many issues with respect to the maternity health, care is well there. Maternity Benefit Act has been amended in 2017. So many things are there which are pushing our society to save more, to spend more, and that is why we are witnessing that the poverty at this India at this moment are declining, right? So these are all those reasons. So this is the thing that we discussed, that how the poverty rates are been declining. Now jump into the part, what is poverty all about, right? So the first is, it is defined as the inability to meet minimum physical subsistence requirement for say food, water and the shelter. World Bank poverty line is 2.25 per day. 2022 की बात है, 2.15 per day US dollar. One more thing as well, there is a conventional approach to measuring poverty. To measuring poverty is to specify a minimum expenditure required to purchase a basket of goods and services to satisfy the very basic human needs, right? And this approach is called the very poverty line, right? Now this is the absolute poverty. This is the poverty line. How we define the poverty line on this parameter. Second, relative poverty. It is measured against the societal averages. That means it reflects the economic inequality. Now, why do we need to measure poverty in India? वही अगर इतनी बड़ी संभावना है, इतना बड़ा ह्यूमन क्राई है कि भारत के मतलब बिफोर इंडिपेंडेंस टिल टुडे वी आर नॉट इवन ट्राइंग टू डिफाइन द एग्जैक्ट बेसिक पॉवर्टी लाइन. सो why to worry about it? So point is, why do we need to measure the poverty line? First is targeting and entitlement design. That means identify who qualifies the welfare schemes, right? Example, the PDS, the targeted subsidies and the poverty line schemes relying on threshold to decide eligibility. First thing. Second, monitoring progress. Track whether poverty is rising or falling over the time, again across the regions, and evaluate which interventions work to reduce the poverty in the particular area. That means state specific, region specific, country specific poverty schemes may work effectively. And that has been witnesses in the proper implementation of the different government schemes across the different states in India, right? Third, resource allocation. It even helps the federal and the state governments and the donor direct scarce resources to the poorest regions and the groups. So whomsoever is needed, the resources should be given to that particular thing, right? The beneficiary should be should get the ration, not the other ones, right? Fourth, design and appropriate policy instruments. The kind of poverty, either chronic, transitory, rural, urban, multidimensional versus income, determines the policy choice. That means the cash transfer, food security, health insurance of the public works department, etc., etc. Fifth, rights advocacy and the accountability. How? It makes deprivation visible and empowers civil society and the judiciary, NGOs, to demand action for right to food, health, housing for the betterment of the beneficiary people. 6. International comparison, SDG meetings. SDG monitoring, India is home to at least 1/6 of the population of the world. And India's commitment to reduce the poverty at this moment is crucial for the aspect of the SDG 1, no poverty, right? So this comparative learning subject to the benchmark, careful benchmarking will be indeed needed to gauge the poverty. This is the rate that the poverty rate in India has been continuously declining. This is the rate with respect to South Asia, Latin America, East Asia, China, which is just for the information that poverty has been slightly declining in all the areas told together. Now, a little bit history regarding how the poverty has been, designed or estimated in the recent past. First, the first part taken by the Dadabhai Nauroji, when he said that 16 to 35 per year person is under the poverty line, right? He even wrote a book called Poverty and Unbridged Rule in India, where he mentioned this thing. Second, National Planning Committee. They said that 15 to 20 per month is the minimum threshold limit. That means minimum standard of living, national requirements implicit within 15 to 20 per month basket. Bombay Plan 1944. They said 75 per year, and they proposed the post-independence development, a small group of business leaders. That was the Bombay Plan. Now, pre-Tendulkar era poverty estimation, that means post-independence. So, post-independence, the first and the foremost is the Planning Commission Expert Group 1960, where we define the poverty line in rural and the urban first time. They said in 20 per year for the rural, 25 for the rural. It is important. Now, they were the first who separate of urban and the poverty line. This is very much important with respect to the prelims exam as well. Second, DM Dandekar and the Enrath committee. There was the first committee who shifted from subsistence to calorie based expenditure. That means earlier the committee used to say that if I have the target to spend 20, 25 or more than 25 per month, or I would say per year, that I am no longer a poor person. But Dandekar and the Enrath committee first came up with the idea that expenditure could be different, but the poverty line should be based on the calorie intake, right? So that was the very first time when they said that based on the expenditure required for 2250 part. Alag Committee 1979, they even said the rural and the urban poverty lines based on the nutrition requirement and related consumption expenditure, right? Lakadwala Committee was there in 1999. They went ahead and they said that there has to be state specific poverty line updating and using the CPI IW and CPI AL, right? So that was the very important aspect with respect to the part. And they even expenditure calculation is still the calorie based, they said, but they discontinued scaling using national accounting statistics, right? This is the part. So the point is, this is how the other part or the Lakadwala committee said regarding the poverty line in India, right? That's a map. Now the Tendulkar committee. In 2009, the government of India made this Tendulkar committee, chaired by Suresh Tendulkar. They proposed a shift in the poverty measurement from just calorie based to a broader basket including essential non-food consumption for say education, health, clothing and fuel, etc. Right? That means they defined the poverty line in 2011 was estimated at rural 30 per day, 36 per day. That means one who is earning 900 per day, in urban one who is earning 1080 per month, right? Below that, up to that, you are a person with the poverty line. This became the official benchmark for the many years, and since no new official poverty line were adopted thereafter. Even after that, there were certain committees for say Abhijit Sen Gupta committee was there. I remember the name. Which sat that based on the monetary aspect, 77% of the Indian people are under the poverty line. It's back, it sent back to the back corner, and Tendulkar committee's recommendations move forward to the as a most official part. Now, in 2014, the Rangarajan committee again came, right? There was there to revise and improve upon the committee of Suresh Tendulkar. The committee proposed higher per capita, that says 32 per day and 47 per day. And according to Rangarajan committee, 29% of the Indian population in 2012-11 were below poverty, and that was matchable with the 22% pass of the World Bank estimation of the Indian poverty as well, right? However, the government never formally adopted these revised lines as the official poverty lines, right? So, आज तक क्या हो रहा है? The Suresh Tendulkar committee was there in India, and after 2011-12, no official survey has been taken place, no official declaration regarding the poverty estimation line has been taken place, nothing is there, right? Now, why a fresh update? Why RBI is talking about the revised revision of the Rangarajan committee? The point is, because the long gap, first point and just I quoted, and the household consumption and the price pattern has changed substantially. Why? Because there has been a great GDP growth take place. The World Bank says, the IMF says that the government of the people of India by 2030 having at least $13,000 at the time of PPP. India will be the economy of $6 trillion US by 2030. So having this futuristic target, we need to revise our poverty estimation cost as well, right? So this is the first part. Second, using simpler or simple CPI inflation adjustment is problematic because the CPI basket composition differs from the composition basket assumed in the Rangarajan poverty line. No synchronization is there. Third, the RBI economists therefore opted to construct a new price index which weight matching the original poverty line Rangarajan committee based impact, right? That inflated each state's 2012 rural poverty urban lines using this index and then applied 2022-23 household consumption expenditure. The household consumption expenditure data means that what amount of money a family is on a very monthly basis is trying to expend. Simple, right? So this data is called household consumption expenditure, right? Now the key findings of this particular RBI report. Reports are Odisha rural part poverty estimated to fall by 47 to 8.6%. Very good. Bihar in poverty in urban fell to 9.1%. Kerala, Himachal Pradesh, although declining the poverty rate, but absolute poverty rates are among the lowest in Kerala and the Himachal Pradesh, right? Rural poverty rates was in Himachal Pradesh, highest rural poverty was in Chhattisgarh. These all informations are very much important with respect to your prelims exam as well, right? Urban areas lowest was in Tamil Nadu, highest again in the Chhattisgarh, right? And the all India lines, RBI economists did not recompute or set a new all India rural urban poverty line. Their update was state specific. So that means still there is no specific poverty line at this root of India, and perhaps that must be because of the greater significance difference that we find within the India. So many of the committees and the surveys has been done by the side of the World Bank as well, where in India we have found that the poverty decline between the range of 2011 to 2015 has been discontinuous or has been differing within the states. For say in West Bengal it was 1.8, but for Bihar it was 3.6, right? So the programs implementation, the people that the ability of the people to to spend, and as well very important thing, the population's mindset to declare the poor and not poor in even matters, right? So many of the complexity are there, and that is the reason perhaps the RBI economists did not compute a all over India rural and urban poverty line, right? This is just another recent estimate committee regarding the SBI. So they say that 1940 for the rural and 2736 for the urban is the person who is the poverty line, right? Now, why estimates vary widely? अलग-अलग लोगों कमेटी का पार्ट लगातार अलग क्यों होता है? First is differences in the baseline, consumption buckets, data collection methods, treatment of subsidy, inflation adjustment methods all lead to the divergent estimates. This is very important thing. वही state wise बात है जो हम बैठ के लगातार कर रहे थे, right? Critique point out that the poverty shrinks, the remaining poor tend to cluster just below the poverty line, making it sensitive to the small changes. That means that within 2, 3, 6 months, they may get out of the poverty line slowly, right? That is the exact reason. Now, the implications of these kind of poverty lines in India. First, targeting and welfare scheme. If state level lines show drastic declines, many who were earlier classified as poor might lose eligibility for subsidies or the social programs unless the lines are revised thoroughly and state-wise as well. For say, consumption basket fixed in 2012 may not reflect 2025 realities. Why? Because the rural wages has been increased, right? The digital expenditure has been increased. So many of the changes are there in the rural and the urban in both the areas. Plus, inflation adjustment plus new survey yield divergent estimates, there is a difference as well. Second, regional heterogeneity. There has been a big disparity between states like Chhattisgarh and the Kerala, and state specific policies rather than a one fit size all. Third, hidden poverty. Free food grain reduces monetary poverty but not nutritional adequacy. Why? Because India has a still high stunting rate. That is around National Family Health Service says the 35.5% stunting rates among the children as well, right? So these people may be out of the poverty, but based on the calorie and the nutritional requirement, they are still under the poverty line, right? Plus complementary metrics. Monetary poverty lines should be supplemented by the multi-dimensional measures for say education, health, housing to get a fuller picture of the deprivation. Again, this is a very complex task to manage, right? Urban poverty's new norms, rising cost of housing, healthcare, education, sites create new poor even before the traditional poverty line, right? So many of the implications are there. In between of the time, I remember 2011-12 when the Manmohan Singh Saab was the economist, he used to say that rather than defining the poverty line, we need to understand who we may exclude from the poverty, right? That means if you have a TV, if you have a fridge, if you have an AC, that means you may repay the the electricity bill, so that we may think that you are not the person who comes the poverty line. That means you are the person who need not have the support from the government subsidies. So that was even there, bigger picture. But again, you need to peep inside the right to privacy part of the the people as well. So that point was even subdued, right? Now the limitation and the cautions of this poverty estimation part. First, using an updated price index based on Rangarajan basket, assume that consumption weight are stable over time, which may not hold. Wrong assumption. This exercise does not address depth of poverty or vulnerability. That means risk of slipping into the poverty. This is the vulnerability. This is a very important thing. Third, since the RBI update is not official, the programs and the government statistics might not consistently adopted, thereby potentially causing a disconnections between the analysis and the policies, right? But a broader perspective we need to understand what it is. It is that the shift in the global poverty line, that means $3 per day, reminds us that poverty is not absolute but relative and evolving with the standard of the living. This is the very same fact that I told in 2012, 2013, 2011. The government of India was focusing towards exclusion from the poverty rather than inclusion in the poverty, right? As India progresses, living costs, aspirations, consumption pattern changes, static poverty lines may underestimate deprivation if not regularly revised. This is the reason we need it. Plus, the move toward multi-dimensional poverty captures deprivations invisible to income-only metrics, especially in infrastructure, health, education, and the social inclusion. So we may say that poverty in India is actually a multi-dimensional dynamic phenomena intertwined with the inequality, job security, job quality, regional disparity, and the regional imbalances as well. And statistics in India cannot capture the entire thing. That means we need to have a more comprehensive picture of defining the poverty lines, and a narrow focus on monetary threshold or asset ownership risk, overlooking the lived experience of deprivation, exclusion, and the precarity. And we must not forget that India aims to achieve developed economy status by 2047. So the challenge lies not just in reducing the the poverty numbers, but in ensuring dignified livelihood, equitable access to quality public services, and inclusive growth that leaves no one behind as well, right? Under this part, this is additional information with respect to the poverty estimation. This is multi-dimensional poverty index. So MPI is a comprehensive measure of poverty that goes beyond income, assessing simultaneous deprivations in three major parts. First is health, second is education, third is standard of living. It quantifies poverty by combining the incidences of poverty and intensity of poverty. That means the percentage of the people deprived and how many of the deprivation they suffer. The exact formula is that MPI we say it is equal to H into A. So the percentage of the people deprived, right? Head count ratio, intensity of the people, that means the intensity of the people, which is called as A, right? And this multi-dimensional poverty, there was a part, it was index developed by Oxford part, UNDP, and the global MPI complements income-based poverty measures, provides a more nuanced understanding of poverty for the public understanding. So this is just a nature for the prelims, nothing more specifically, right? These three things are extremely important for the prelims understanding. UPSC may frame aspect, and all these subparts that I mentioned, UPSC has earlier in the prelims has asked a question based on the ease of reform movements, the ease of reform index. So, this cooking, fuel, sanitation, drinking water, housing, electricity, asset, bank account, these are the standard of living. Years of schooling, school attendance, this is very must. And maternal health, child and adolescent mortality, nutrition. So, all these 11 parameters must be in your domain as well, right? Now, again, this is a practice question visible over your screen. Do practices. Let us know the answer in the comment box. And this is a subjective answer. You should write, and in any case you need help, feel free to reach out to the Next IS. I hope that the topics we discuss today's in this daily news analysis, we try to provide the justice and you equally understood the idea and the nature of the content as well. Keep watching daily news analysis and keep studying. Thank you very much.